Hello and welcome to Military Mantra. In this interview, we have today Commander Abhishek Kankan, NaoSena Medal, who have served in Indian Navy for close to 2 decades. And in the interview, we'll try to understand his journey of joining Indian Navy, live in Indian Navy as an officer, as a Marine Commando, as an Everester, and also as a Submariner. So thank you, sir, for coming on this interview and welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, Akash, go ahead.
So if you can, start telling us, how was your journey before joining the Forge and what motivated you to join the Indian Navy?
Okay, so to begin with, I would tell you that no one from my family had ever served in Forge, Army, Navy, or the Air Force. So it was sort of a new thing, and it happened. My father was posted in Calcutta, Kolkata now, and he went and met son of his friend who was in the army, and he was at Fort William. So my father got very impressed with the probably the lifestyle and the place and seeing him. So he got interested. So he asked him, okay, suppose my son needs to join the armed forces, what should he do? So something like that, he would have had a conversation, and I was certainly not there. And he came back and he told me about one school called Rashtriya Indian Military College, Dehradun.
Okay.
And he told me that, it is an army sort of a school in which, there are guns and training is there. So as a 10.5-year-old boy, I got very fascinated because yes, guns and those toy guns and, missiles and ships and things like that did interest me a lot. I was a very ordinary student, but after hearing all this, I got very motivated. And so RIMC is a A's class establishment, like at par with IMA, Naval Academy, Air Force Academy. So there is a very stringent entry for this. So that time there used to be 22 states. So they used to take only one person from every state. So there was All India competitive exam. And as I told you, I was not really a bright student, but then I got thoroughly motivated and I studied like nobody's business for the exam. My father did facilitate me for tuitions and things like that. Actually, I was in 5th standard.
Okay.
And the syllabus was going to come of 6th, because that time RMC was from 7th to 11th, because NDA used to be after. So in those 3 months, I really burned the midnight oil and I paid for the exam. And I got selected in the exam, then the interview, and it was followed by a medical. And I cleared the medical, and ultimately I was one of those 22 students who was selected, and I did make it in the top 4 of the merit list.
Nice.
So I mean, if there's a will, there's a passion, one can really elevate one's capabilities, because they're all in us. But yeah, we need to harness it. So that's how I got introduced to sort of Forge at an early age of 10.5, and I joined this brilliant school. I would consider it the best school in the world, probably, because there used to be only 220 students. Every 6 months, an entry like NDA. And the kind of facilities, the squash court, the basketball court, swimming pools, a rigorous routine. You are in the army uniform, you're cadets. So it was a wonderful schooling for me.
Great, sir. So while I understand, RIMC would have trained you for the interview process, what they're looking for, the initial grooming. So how was your SSB experience, and what tips you would like to give to the aspirants who are watching this?
Sure. RIMC per se doesn't really train you for an SSB in a condensed manner or something like that. But what happens, 5 years of your lifestyle becomes a very Forge lifestyle. And you are groomed. You are groomed as a personality, not only academics, but outdoors, team sports, then your public speaking, your power of command and things like that. And those are essential for SSB. But I would like to tell you, for the first SSB I went, I was pretty confident and I flunked. I didn't get through. And that was a major setback, and not only for me, for even my friends, that how could this guy not clear it? So what SSB actually looks for is your overall personality. That includes your intelligence, your IQ level, that is your psychology, whether you have a positive psychology or a negative psychology, or what kind of psychology you have. Then it looks at you that what kind of, how do you behave in a team? So, in a team, as a participant, as a member, how do you behave yourself? And once you're given a chance to do a command task, that once you are designated as a leader, how do you handle the task given to you? And then, of course, there is an interview in which you are checked for your current affairs, you are checked for your views on various things, on national interest, and things like that. So, the reason I actually flunked was I was overconfident. I took it casually. I sort of knew, what is what, and I didn't really. I took it casually. I took a lot of risk in my command task and other tasks. Although everybody called me for their task in the GTO, group testing officer. But at the end of it, yes, because of my casual attitude and not taking it seriously, I did flunk. But for you guys, it is not only, it is how you groom yourself from you're aware of the current affairs, what are the issues facing the country in terms of economics, military, politics, not too much of politics, but yeah, what is the scenario, what is the world order, who are our neighbors. So that kind of reading newspaper, it is something which one should do in addition to those magazines and things like that. So actually, per se, for an SSB, you don't require preparation. What you require is your grooming from the very beginning. You should have played your games. You should have sweat it out. You should have that courage in you. You should have a good power of command. You should be able to express yourself. And yes, you should have a positive outlook in mind and ability to take, do things, even if put under stressful conditions, come out of it.
Got it. Sir, when we go to SSB and a lot of coaching centers and we read about SSB, we hear something about OLQs, that is officer-like qualities. So what is your perspective about it? Should people develop and then go, or does it eventually get developed over your training and your service period?
See, there are certain things which are ingrained in a person. Okay, by the genes, how what genes you have inherited. Some is that you develop on it. So what officer-like qualities? Why this officer-like qualities? Why this SSB? The reason why it is so stringent and it's so important is because of your nature of your job or service which you're going to render. You're going to be officers. You have to lead your men. Okay, lead your men into the harm's way, where life is at stake. Our national flag is at stake. Our territory is at stake. Our izzat of our country is at stake. So once you lead men where there is danger to life, there is danger to your health, the environment is very harsh, like in the army, you are operating in high altitudes, or you are operating in the desert, or you are operating in counterinsurgency operations where you don't know where is the enemy. And you have to lead your men there. You have to be tough, you have to be soft, you have to have the situational awareness. Like even in the Navy, serving on board ships, the sea is the biggest enemy. It is saline water and the roughness of the sea. In ships, in submarines, or in naval aviation, or in Marcos. So the environment is always tough. So that's the reason why we look for officer-like qualities and why the SSB is grilling you through. So you got to keep your cool once you are stressed up. You should have situational awareness. You should have optimism in you. You should not give up. And then you should, the men should feel that, yes, I'm even ready to lay down my life for my officer. That much of, not that we want anyone to die, but that kind of josh you have to put in them. So that's the reason, why these OLQs and SSB are so stringent and so important.
Understood, sir. So once you got selected, you would have gone to the NDA and then to INA. So how was your life in the academy? And if there are any memories that you would like to share with the audience?
As I told you, I appeared for the NDA, SSB, and I flunked. And I didn't get through, and by that time, NDA became after 12th, so I had to do my 12th outside, which was with my back against the wall. And then there was a scheme called 10+2 technical scheme, Naval Engineering course, so which was based on PCM marks. And so I went for the SSB for the Navy then, and this time, in fact, there was. In every SSB from around 30 to 70 people, hardly 4 or 5 get selected. So in my SSB, around 70 had come, and ultimately after the first day, 32 were there. and then out of that, 4 of us were selected. And then there was a merit list of 250 people, whereas the seats were only 70. So, I was among the first 4 in this SSB, and the previous one I'd failed. So there are, in fact, I asked my board president in my second SSB that why do you think I would have flunked in my first SSB? I was not aware that I'm going to clear the second one, but I was just asking him. So he told me a very nice thing. He said, that you may have certain jewels, but if you don't show them, how can a person come to know what is inside? So maybe in the previous SSB, you didn't show your qualities, you didn't show your traits. And he gave me a slight hint, yeah, this time you have done, so all the best to you. So it's very important for us, anybody who's going to SSB, that yes, you should have those qualities which are there, which you can inculcate by playing games, by volunteering for some events in the school, like being in the magazine or following some hobbies, organizing certain events. So you develop those qualities. And then it's important for you to show it, to present it to the group testing officer, to the interviewer, to the psychologist, things like that. So I went to first Naval Academy at Goa. That time it used to be in Goa, now it's in Azimalla. And it was a good experience for me. It was not new because I had been in RIMC, so it was a cakewalk for me. But yes, my postmates, the other 70 people who had come, they had a tough time, so I was generally supporting them. From there, we moved to INS Shivaji, Lonavala, where we were to do a BTech for 4 years. And here it was quite hell, actually. Because Lonavala, you might have heard, Lonavala, Khandala, they are lovely tourist places to go there. But if you have to stay there, and for 4 months, there is no sunshine. It rains all the time. It is wet all the time. So, and as cadets, we had to wash our own clothes, and they would not dry, and you had to be in immaculate uniform all the time. And the training was very, very tough, and our seniors were also very rough on us. Yeah, of course, they were grooming us from being from students and babies to becoming men who would have to survive on board ships and submarines, which is very harsh. So it was a grand experience. One nice thing I remember is, we used to go for the morning run, and as I told you, we used to wash our clothes. So I had washed my clothes, and then I had worn my PT shorts and shirt, and we had gone for it. And it used to be raining, and that never stopped any training. So after some time, I found something creeping on my left thigh. I was wondering, what is it? What is it? And then I looked down, and I saw full lather of that soap which I had used for washing it. I had not rinsed it properly, and it was so embarrassing to see, that lather jhag coming out of my shorts. But yeah, I had to keep, removing it and keep running. So that was one of the interesting events during the cadet time.
Got it. So since you are also a Marine Commando, if you could tell us, what was your motivation to, join the Marine Commando or opt for it?
Okay, I think it went down to my childhood. Once I told you, as a 10.5-year-old, I had that thing of guns and missiles and things like that. I also loved the naval uniform, and it was something different, to be at sea. So I joined the Navy, but then I came to know this opportunity that one could join as a Marcos, and that I had that confidence that with my grooming at RIMC and Naval Engineering course at Lonavala, I could probably do it. So there was a strong, a very stringent selection process. You have to volunteer for it. You can't force anyone to be a Marcos. And I was an engineer officer, and over a period of time, it was seen that very less people were opting for Marcos and very few were qualifying. So they had opened it for all the branches. Earlier, it was open to the diving and the executive branch. So I was lucky that it was opened up just before I became of the age to volunteer for it. And that was a motivation. So I volunteered for it, and then at RIMC or NEC, so much more. It was, and it was interesting too. You were dealing with jungle navigation at sand, firing from various weapons. So a whole day was packed, and this is the only course in which officers and sailors do it together. So the Marcos course, and so we were 3 officers and 21 men who are doing this course, 24 of us, 6 months course. I was certainly not the best, especially not in water. Water was my Waterloo. And I was okay in firing and things like that. On ground, I was pretty good, but I was certainly not the best. But I decided I'm not going to give up. So it went on, and ultimately, can you guess how many of us only cleared the course? Any guesses from your side?
I think only 2 or 3.
Yeah, you're pretty close. Only 4 of us
Okay.
who ultimately qualified to become Marcos after 6 months of the course.
Okay.
And as I told you, I was certainly not the best, but I didn't give up. There were people who gave up or had injuries and things like that. So in life, I would tell you that you can have setbacks, you can have failures, but just don't give up. Keep trying harder, and success you will certainly achieve one day. And then I went on to operate as Marcos in the valley on board submarines. We had a prahars, and we used to have a lot of exercises, a lot of them clandestine. And in fact, in the Kashmir Valley, Marcos operate as prahars, very small teams. One officer, one sort of a JCO, that is senior sailor, and you have your marksman, you have your sniper man, the communication guy. All are trained, but they're specialized in certain field. So we were 2 prahars, and our leader was that time Lieutenant Commander Tilak Raj Thakur, and I was the second OIC. And our team operated there. And operating in valley is certainly not easy. The environment is not to you. It is hard, cold winters, who have been brainwashed, and they are not with us, and you don't know the local language, and you don't have the intelligence where the terrorists are moving around. So it's a very, very difficult task. That's where you realize that why this SSP is required, why the OLQ is required, why the stringent training is required over 3 years and things like that. And yes, I can proudly say that our team did eliminate Hizbul Mujahideen area commander, at least one enemy less for our country. And it did send a message across to the terrorists that we mean business. And of course that there was a lot of eliminations, and a lot of terrorists were killed, and even the local population realized that that's not the way, and they need to side with this great country India, and that's the way they can progress in life, and their children can progress in life.
Got it. Sir, you spoke about your time in the probation as well. We hear a lot about it, like the Hell's Week, like Navy SEALs has it. So any experience from the probation which you would like to share, which you still cherish?
It had a lot of hell weeks and a lot of navigation. There are these route marches which are there, which is not really marching, but running 40-kilometer route march, 30-kilometer route march, 20-kilometer route march. So the 40-kilometer one is done towards the end. And as I told you, there was high attrition. And in the end, we were just 4 of us left, and we were doing this route march. And you have 23 kgs of weight on your back, and then your AK-47 in front of you, which is around 5 kgs, and with boots and everything. And you're doing this. And it was a joke that the training team, the people who were training us, those ustads who were training us, their numbers were more than the people who were getting trained, because we were only 4 of us. So this was a very gruesome route march, and we did motivate each other. I was there, and 3 of my sailors were there with us, and we were kept on motivating. And then in the end, it's also like a race, that who comes first. But we decided that, I told these guys, okay, come on, we got to do it together, and we 4 of us stepped together into the finish line. So that showed that spirit of being together. And many times, once your morale is down and you feel that you can't survive another day, but then we got the mud walks. There is a natural hill silt formation near the Karanja jetty, and you step into it and you just get submerged into it like quicksand, and you're down till your hip, and you can't even move your leg. The first time we were sent, we hardly could move, and we had to be pulled out. And slowly we gained how to go about it, how not to keep one leg at one place for a long time, because if you keep your leg there, it keep going down. How to wriggle out your other leg, and then we had to cross some 400 meters in that slush. So that was another very very tough part, and you could sometimes see these sea snakes just whizzing past. But luckily, none of us got any injuries. So it was full of thrill. Now I call it thrill, but that time it was really, really tough on us.
Got it, sir. So you would have been also a paratrooper, since all Marcos are also paratrooper. So how was your first experience when you jumped out of an aircraft?
Okay, before you jump out of the aircraft, you undergo the training, because in Forge and anywhere else, you should be properly trained, and you should know how to deal with emergencies, so that you can help yourself and others. So there is they make you jump off, as a part of ground training, they make you jump off a platform which is quite high. So and then they train you how to wear the harness, how to do it, what drills to do, all is trained on the ground. And then you're sent for this. And once I went there, I hesitated a bit to jump the first time. And but I did jump. So once I came down, then the instructor, he asked me, why did you hesitate? I said, yes, I did hesitate, but yeah, I will overcome it. He said, go again. So again, I went and I did it immediately. So yes, fear and all that comes to all of us. So don't think that, if you have fear in you, that, you can't do it. Everybody has fear. Everyone has that fright. But the ability to overcome that fright and perform is what makes a difference. That makes a difference. So even in my para jumps, more I would like to talk about is my para jumps, water para jumps, which we did with US Navy SEALs. We had joint exercise, US Navy SEALs and Marcos, we keep having those joint exercises. And as a part of that, we are supposed to do para jumps at sea. And then only you realize that para jumps at ground is much simpler than para jumps at sea. Because in ground, okay, you have to ensure your parachute opens. And if it doesn't open, you have to open your emergency parachute and land. And yes, you have to ensure you land and you fall in a way that you don't hurt yourself. Whereas at sea, you're going to land on water.
Yes.
And water, you can't stand on water or sit on water. And it's going to, and your parachutes are also designed to sink. Because you're preparing for, you can't have a parachute floating, the enemy will come to know. And there are so many strings which are there. So in a water para jump, moment you jump, you have to immediately put on your fins. So there is a full drill. You have to put on your fins, you have to start opening up your parachute, and it is just stuck to you by one quick release coupling sort of a thing. So that, the moment you release that, the parachute goes off. So all that harness and everything is almost off. And you jump from very low altitudes, so that the radar cannot catch the aircraft from which you are jumping. So it's a whole process. The moment you jump, the drill starts, you put on it, and you are hanging in that thing. You have to also, direct yourself toward the boat in which you are ultimately going to go. First, the boat is lowered, para dropped, then the team is para dropped. So, and before you touch water, you have to gauge that you are 10 meters or around 10 to 8 meters above water, and then you're supposed to release your parachute so that the parachute goes away and you land in water and you are able to swim to your part. Now, in my very first, and also we were jumping from C-130 Hercules aircraft.
Okay.
Now, at PTS, we were, there was a platform and like a 9-meter jump, you just jump. And if you don't jump, they'll throw you out because you got to jump. Now, once we are doing in these US Navy SEALs aircrafts, Hercules, there was a ramp. So at the beginning of the ramp, they would tell you, okay, go and jump. So you had to actually walk those, 5 meters and go and jump yourself. That was fearful, but that was a real feeling that I have done the jump. And in my very first jump, I had a blackout and I found myself hanging upside down. What happened was that those fins which I was wearing, which is stuck to you, which you're supposed to wear in the once you died, they had come off and they had got stuck with one of the strings. For the bit, my legs got raised up. So I was upside down in the parachute. Then I had to gauge what is happening. Then I had to remove it, and then I got straight, and I had to do that drill. So it was quite a task, my first para jump. And then, of course, we did more, and I got more confidence.
Got it, sir. So you are also a submariner. So if you could tell us, from a Marcos, how did you become a submariner, and how was life as a submariner for you?
Okay. Yeah, see, I joined Marcos, but being a technical officer, engineer, I was only allowed there for 3 years of deputation. So I had to get back to ships or whatever after finishing my 3 years. Now, after I finished my 3 years, I came to know about submarines, and Navy was expanding a lot. We are getting into nuclear submarines and things like that. So there were a lot of vacancies for that. I also noticed that the age for joining the submarine arm was 28, and I was still around 26 or 27. So I volunteered for it, and again, my quest to do something different, something difficult. So I volunteered for it, and I'm lucky that the Navy gave me an opportunity. So I underwent the course on because in submarine, very less crew is there, and you may be required to perform anything. You need to have cross knowledge. The toughest part of the submarine is qualifying the submarine escape module, in which wearing a what you call the whole diving suit. It is a diving suit, a dry suit, in which you are not exposed to water, and you have to wear a mask and everything, and then put into the torpedo tube, which is very claustrophobic, and that is 9 meters long. So, and then you have to crawl into it and go and lie down there. So 3 of you are there, and then they will start filling with water, and then they will pressurize it, and then the front bow opens, and then you have to swim across to the tower, and then come up 10 meters free floating up. So this is you feel highly claustrophobic just wearing that set. And I was a diver, and I was a Marcos. Personally, I also felt a bit claustrophobic, and it was hats off to my, coastmates, submarine coastmates who did it. It is just a matter of your mind to keep yourself calm in that time. That I'm not going to panic. Because if you panic, it is a difficult task to get you out. All the three have to catch each other's legs, and then they will pull you out, because you are being pressurized. So there are times once you can get pain in your ears, and you can also panic otherwise, because there's no place to move. You're just like that, and it takes a lot of time. But that's a litmus test. If you don't clear it, you can't become a submariner, and you will not get that badge on your chest. So that's what was about the submarine training.
Got it. So I'll take you one step back. As a young officer, when you joined as a Marcos, so how was your first combat experience and various learnings from that?
Okay, I did amplify a bit, like in the valley we were operating, and it is like looking for a needle in a haystack, blindfolded. Okay, because you don't know who is the terrorist, who you can't make out, and it's never known. And intelligence is not always there, that they're there or not. So my first combat experience, we were in an area called Gandharbal area, and we were deployed there because there are a lot of ruck area, that is water bodies. So we were to augment the effort of the army, being divers and Marcos Marine Commandos. So we were told that there is some direction finders. From there we come to know that there is movement, but we have not been able to intercept it. So Lieutenant Commander Tilak Raj Thakur and me, we decided that we'll set up an ambush and try to get these guys. So he did set up an ambush. We went out in the night, late in the night, so that no one comes to know, the local population doesn't come to know, and the terrorists don't come to know. And he was setting up his ambush in our old Kashmiri Pandit's house, which was dilapidated, and I had set it up on a road junction where there was a jungle behind, a plantation behind, so it was a good route for the terrorists to move. That's what we anticipated. And this was first day, in the night we were setting it up. We were not aware of the local terrain so much. We had certain army guys to guide us and things like that. And by the time we were setting up, the first team had missed. They saw some movement and they saw somebody's moving. By the time they could gauge the situation, these around 4 or 5 guys had moved off. And it all happened in a flash. And even he didn't have time to alert me. We were in communication with each other. I was setting up my ambush here, and one of my guys tells me from a night vision goggles that I can see some movement across in the field. So I told all these guys, to and we didn't know who are these guys. It shouldn't be our guys or something like that. We were not aware of the terrain much. So we tried to inquire whether, I put one guy to scream and check who are there. We didn't come to know. We flashed a light also, although it was dangerous. From the side we did just to be sure. And we didn't see anyone, but we heard a gun being popped from the other side. Immediately I told my guys to open fire, and we started firing towards the general direction. It was dark, around 2 in the night. And we got some return fire, and this encounter went on for around an hour, and then we stopped, and there was nothing from the other side. So we were very happy that I think we have neutralized this terrorist, and that's a great thing. But slowly we sent our recce teams to go and check, and to our dismay, we didn't find anyone. So then we communicated with the other team, and then got hang of the situation. They also said that they had seen some people cross, and there were at least 5 people. And we searched that area, we got them out, we searched that whole area and didn't find a single terrorist. We were very deeply. How did we lose them? And what happened? And we could have set it up. So we came back in the morning around 4 o'clock or so, and whole day we were thinking what to do. We had a golden chance to eliminate the anti-nationals. And where did we go wrong, or what should we do further? So then we decided, we planned, and next day again we decided to set up an ambush, similar one, and this time with lesser people. And this time we were very meticulous because we knew the terrain and things like that. And next night immediately we did set it up, and he put it at the same place as the Pandit's house, and I also was in a similar place. And this time, as luck would have it, again there were 2 people seen coming. See, it's totally dark, you can't see anything, you hardly get any reaction time. And immediately our person, we started firing at them, and they also fired at the other Prahar. The encounter happened, and then again it was silent. Now they were in a house, so their position is exposed, and the terrorists were outside. So he told me to come and reinforce. So I started moving and trying to reinforce and get them out. Anyway, in the meantime, they were also trying to see whether they got the casualty. They also flashed a light, and they saw one terrorist lying flat on the ground. And wow! And the moment they flashed the light, it came till his face. This guy turned around and started firing at our team. He was not dead. He was still, he was just ducking while the firing. And one of the bullets came and hit the muzzle of one AK-47, which our guy was holding. Our guys immediately started firing, and this guy crept in towards the building. So, you can fire at him. So, presence of mind, one of our sailors, he lobbed a grenade and tried to do this. And again, there was silence from the other side. By the time I reached and my Prahar, and we got these guys out, we started looking, again, we couldn't find this terrorist. The whole night we searched, we laid an ambush all around. We saw some blood marks and things like that. Somebody going, but we never found the body. Morning, we got the sniffer dog, and there was a plantation there nearby. And so the sniffer dog was checking and going, and we were all stationed all around. And whole night we were there. Your weapons get so cold that it gets very uncomfortable. But the trainer and the dog, they went in, and they immediately came out. They said that guy is there inside. The terrorists. We fired, we lobbed grenades, and then we got this guy. So he was a Hizbul area commander. Okay. A good catch. So a Kashmiri. So ups and downs, and your life is at stake. But yes, that passion to eliminate all the anti-nationals did really get us success. So this was one of the encounters.
Sir, I also know you were an Everester. So how did that happen, and how was your experience when you decided, and the journey itself?
Oh, that's a long story. It just happened that I was serving on board submarines, and my submarine was supposed to enter repairs. And I came to know that Navy is planning an expedition. It was actually the vision of the then Chief of Naval Staff, Admiral Madhavendra Singh, okay, who as is one of his visions, he said he wanted to see the national flag and the naval ensign being taken up to top of the world. So our leader, Commander Dam, was there. He was into mountaineering on his own. So there was no team as such. So he started forming the team. We were sent to HMI Darjeeling for the courses. And as an effort towards Everest, we went on various expeditions. So I went on this Comet expedition. That was my first expedition after clearing the course at HMI Darjeeling, where I was just the best student in the course. So there I got a lot of pain in the summit camp. But I said, no way, I got to summit. So I went with another teammate and 2 Sherpas with us. It was quite miserable, but we did scale it successfully. And by the time I came down, my fingers had discolored. So I had got this frostbite in my fingers. The Navy gave me the best treatment. We came down immediately and then reached Delhi. And from Delhi, I was flown to Mumbai and I was given hyperbaric treatment. So that was quite a close shave. Suffering from frostbite, but that didn't stop me from going for Everest. Everest is like everything is against you. You're going against the elements, so you have to count. That I'm going to take 10 steps this time. Otherwise, you will not be able to move ahead. You can't breathe. You keep panting, even if you're breathing pure oxygen at high altitudes in the dead zone.
Yes.
It's quite an effort. So. I'm happy to be alive and telling you, I did scale the Everest. And we are the first Navy in the world to have scaled it. First submariners in the world to have scaled it. And we are flagged off from a submarine. So not only did we scale 8848, which is the height of Everest, but 50 meters below water. So those are the world records we hold.
Nice, sir. Sir, since you have a variety of experience within the Navy as a commando, to a submariner, and an Everester as well, if I can ask you any 3 life lessons that you still cherish, which you learned from the armed forces, any 3.
Okay. I think first life lesson is that the more you sweat in peace, the less you'll bleed in war. That's the first thing. Like that's why the training is so harsh in the armed forces. Because once, like your combat, ultimately we had an encounter in the valley. You had nobody alerting you, no time to react. It is all subconscious, and it's a din of war. You don't know what is happening. So you have to do it subconsciously. It has to be in you to react and to fire a weapon and fire accurately. So that's why the training, the training is harsh. And even for life, if you're appearing for SSB or you're going for armed forces or any other, or appearing for an engineering college or civil services exam, anything in life, the more you sweat in peace, that the more efforts you put in the initial days, in your 10th, 12th, in your graduation, the better, easier it will be for you later. And that defines, in life where you go. So that's the first life lesson, that put in your effort. The more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. Second one is that never give up. You will have failures. You may not be able to achieve. You may not be the best. Like I told you in Marco's training, never give up from your side. There may be times once you may have to step back. There may be times that you may have failures, but okay, like say you can lose a battle, but you should not lose the war. So that way, never give up and don't get demoralized. Don't get a negative mindset. Keep trying. Third one, I think we all have tremendous amount of capability in us. We just got to be focused, have a vision in life, have the pride of a nation, of a flag, Tiranga, of our parents, of our organizations, in yourself, okay? And you be focused and you can achieve. So there's tremendous ability in us. The competition is tough, but we just need to harness our inner energy and we can achieve whatever is there. So these are the 3 life lessons which I learned from Punch.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir, for all the information that you have shared over this interaction. It was really nice talking to you, and I hope a lot of people who will be watching us will gain a lot from this conversation. Thank you again for your time, sir. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind. All the best to you and your audience. Armed Forces is a lovely service. Don't get demoralized. Prepare yourself. Do well. And there are even other careers. You can serve the nation from any career. All the best. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, sir.